Hey garden friends, so I wanted to share with you how I take cuttings so I can propagate plants and trees that I see whether in my yard or a friend's yard. So I have an Eastern Redbud tree right here. I'm gonna have to trim it anyways because it's coming over my fence and we've got severe storms. So I might as well try to propagate it, especially because it's a great tree for my area. So I like to have some garden shears that are clean. You can also use some scissors that are clean as well. And all you're gonna do is make sure you're cutting below a leaf node. And I'm gonna show you what that looks like. So if you look at this stem right here, you can see a few things that are popping out of the stem. And those are what can turn into leaves and then also new branches. So you can see new ones growing here and here. So when you take your cutting, you want to make sure that you have a leaf node above your cutting. So make sure it's just above where you cut and you have about 6 inches at least from a stem. So I've got a piece that's about 12 or so inches here. You can tell that there is still woody yet green growth. This is what we're gonna look for when we're looking at a plant. When you cut it, you can see there's a little bit of green on the inside layer. So with this plant, what I will end up doing is I will cut all of these leaves off of it because these leaves are gonna consume energy if I leave them on this branch and try to propagate it. I want all of the energy to go towards making roots. So you have a better chance of creating roots when you cut off all of these extra leaves and starts of stems. So now that I have a bare cutting, I'm gonna then find some more leaf nodes, and I want about a 6-inch piece to propagate. I don't want it too big because I don't want too much energy going to the top. So I'm actually gonna find a leaf node and cut below it. And now I have 2 pieces here that I can potentially get propagated. Propagation is not a 100% guarantee, but it's pretty cool because you're creating your own sets of plants that you could sell, just keep in your own garden, or gift to friends and family. So it's really cool to try to do. All right, so hopefully you can kind of see, here's a branch. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off of the main branch, and then I'm gonna break it down very simply how you wanna go about cutting your pieces. So my dogs are going Cujo outside, but here's the branch I cut. My preference is I cut off all of these extra seeds, any of the tinier branches that I don't actually plan on propagating, and I let those go. If there's a V, I usually tend to leave it, especially as that piece of cutting, but this is big enough right here that I will cut this below a leaf node, and then I'll go ahead and split this off. Go ahead and clip off any of these extra leaves because the extra leaves actually take a lot of energy. We want energy to go to those roots. This piece just came off of here. This came off of the main tree. So when you're cutting and when you're planning on putting these in soil or sand, you need to keep these in an upright position, keep them in an orientation that you're gonna remember, and then wherever that cutting was with the leaf node, that's where you're sticking this piece into sand or soil with your rooting hormone. So keep that in mind when you're piling them up. So then here's my piece. I'm going to make this into 3 pieces. I'm just gonna test it out. So find a leaf node, go below the leaf node, keep it into its orientation, set it down, and then find another leaf node, cut below it, and that's it. Put my sand in here, and then we're going to add rooting hormone and stick our cuttings inside of the sand. I'm not filling up my pot all the way because I don't want all of my rooting to be the whole branch. I just want about 2 inches worth. And you can see I'll potentially get rootings from these 2 leaf nodes right here. Really great rooting hormone. It's definitely recommended by me and other gardeners. If you're just putting cuttings in sand or in potting soil, most of the time they are not going to root very well. Sometimes they will, and if you have other hacks, I would love to hear. But this is a really great product. It helps develop roots. So when you're using this and you're taking different cuttings, it's recommended that you use different containers, like you pour out and then dip your cutting into it. I'm just using up the rest of mine, so I'm not doing that. So I like to make sure I'm dipping in and coating at least that first leaf node above my cut. But I usually end up going to both nodes, especially if they're pretty close together. And then all I'm gonna do is stick that in the soil and leave it alone. And then I'll keep this process going. I'm gonna make sure I fill this up because I don't want unused space. Now all I did was put the 2 pots in a bottom shelf in my greenhouse. I don't want them to get a lot of direct sun. Normally my greenhouse does. So I'm gonna water these every now and then. We do not want them to be soggy, sopping wet, but we also don't want to let them get super dried out and then die. I hope this is helpful in your propagation journey, and I will be sure to check back in about 4 to 6 weeks to give you an update on how these are rooting. See you next time, friends. Happy gardening.